They came out of nowhere. Tall, thin figures standing in the middle of the highway, arms raised, eyes glowing in my headlights like burning coals. I swerved to avoid them, but when I looked back, nothing. Just empty roads stretching into the darkness. That was only the beginning. In the dusty, endless stretches of South Africa's highways, where the veld rolls out flat and unforgiving under a star-packed sky, drivers share whispered warnings. The N1 between Johannesburg and Cape Town is beautiful by day, golden grasslands, distant mountains, but at night it turns into something else, something watchful. Locals call certain spots places where the road remembers, drawing from old San and Josa tales of trickster spirits, the Tokoloshe lurking in shadows, or the Impundulu, the lightning bird that strikes without warning. But this story isn't ancient folklore. It happened in early 2024 to a man named Thabo, a long-distance truck driver in his late 30s, toughened by years hauling goods across the country. Thabo was no stranger to the road. He knew every pothole, every roadside cafe serving strong coffee and vetkoek. That night he was heading north from Bloemfontein, loaded with electronics, destined for Gauteng. It was around 2 a.m., the witching hour when the air feels thick and the radio static crackles with interference. The moon was a thin sliver, barely lighting the tar. His cab was warm, radio playing faint Maskandi tunes, the hum of the engine his only companion. He was tired but alert. Night drives demand that. As he approached a lonely stretch near Ventersburg, the headlights caught something odd. Figures, 3 of them, standing dead center on the white line, motionless, tall, unnaturally slender, dressed in ragged clothes that fluttered though there was no wind. Their skin looked pale, almost grey in the beam. Thabo's heart slammed. He flashed his lights, honked the horn. Nothing. They didn't move. At the last second, he yanked the wheel, the massive truck groaning as it veered onto the shoulder, gravel spitting under the tires. He glanced in the mirror, and the road was empty. No figures, no footprints in the dust, just blackness swallowing the highway behind him. He told himself it was fatigue, mirage from the heat still lingering in the air. But his hand shook on the wheel. He cranked the radio louder, trying to shake it off. Miles later, near Kroonstad, it happened again. This time, one figure alone, right in his lane. Closer now, he could see the face, hollow cheeks, eyes like deep pits reflecting his lights red, mouth open in a silent scream. Thabo braked hard, the truck jackknifing slightly, air brakes hissing like an angry snake. He stopped inches away. The figure didn't flinch. It raised a hand, long fingers pointing straight at him through the windshield. Thabo's blood froze. He revved the engine, ready to plow through if needed. But in a blink, it vanished. Gone. Like smoke. Sweat poured down his back. He grabbed his phone. No signal, of course, in these dead zones. Old tales flooded his mind. The gaunts, spirits of the lost who lure travelers off the road, or perhaps something darker, a curse from disturbed graves along the old wagon trails. Thabo wasn't superstitious, but his grandmother had warned him, never drive alone at night without protection, a small cross or muti in the cab. The attacks escalated. Every few kilometers, shadows darted across the road, shapes that looked human but moved wrong, too fast, limbs bending at impossible angles. One leaped onto the side mirror, clinging there, face pressed against the glass, breath fogging it though no one was there. Thabo screamed, swerving wildly. He felt cold fingers brush the back of his neck inside the cab, though the doors were locked, windows up. Near Paris, the worst came. The figures multiplied, dozens now, lining both sides of the highway like silent sentinels. They stepped into the path in waves. Thabo floored it, truck roaring at 120 kilometers per hour, plowing through what felt like mist but sounded like whispers in his ears. Words in clicks and tongues he didn't know, promising to pull him into the veld forever. He doesn't remember much after that. Blackout. The next thing he knew, dawn was breaking over Johannesburg. His truck was parked crookedly at a fuel station in Soweto, engine cold. He was slumped over the wheel, covered in sweat, scratches on his arms he couldn't explain, like long nails had raked him. The security guard found him, thought he'd been hijacked, but nothing was stolen. The load intact. Thabo survived, but he never drove that route again. Quit trucking altogether. In interviews with local reporters, he described the figures in chilling detail. They weren't people, not ghosts exactly, something in between, hungry, following me. He claims they still appear in his dreams, standing at the edge of his vision, waiting for him to return to the road. To this day, in 2025, drivers on the N1 report similar sightings, tall shadows that vanish on approach, cold spots where the air drops suddenly, whispers over the CB radio. Some say it's mass hysteria, tricks of light on tired eyes. Others mutter about ancient spirits disturbed by the endless tar cutting through sacred land. What were they? Why did they target Thabo that night? He escaped their grasp, but he says part of him is still out there, on that dark highway, waiting in the shadows. The road remembers. And sometimes, it follows you home. This has been The Shadows That Followed Me Home, based on real survivor accounts from South African highways in 2024, blended with enduring local folklore of wandering spirits and roadside apparitions. Sources: driver testimonies reported in local media and online forums. The mystery endures. No explanation has ever stuck.